Jeff just called me.
Oh, excellent.
So I called him now.
Okay, we're on the bottom of 9b. Testament base. Amalei Rabbi Yomi Rabbi Zera. Rabbi Zera said before, Zera said before that we're going to learn that things need to be done.
Okay, all right, we're on.
With the right hand.
Okay, thanks.
Good morning.
Morning, Jeff.
Morning.
We're on the bottom of 9b. Amalei Rabbi Yomi Rabbi Zera. Rabbi Yomi says to Rabbi Zera, Albayin Yadai Hayamanas Albayin Raglai Hayamanas Tiksiv. It's supposed to be B'Shemin the Mitzvah the Asher the Ani, and it says by the oil of a Mitzvah of a rich man and a poor man, because there's two possible sacrifices that a Mitzvah could bring. It could be if it makes a difference if he's wealthy or if he's poor. But by both of them it says that the oil is put on his thumbs, and his thumb of his hand and of his big toe of his foot. But why does it need to say that? Why? Since it says that the oil is put on the place where the blood is put, and where's the blood put? On his big toe and his big thumb, and on his thumb of his right hand. So if it's put in the same place where the blood is put, so why does it have to repeat the location of his big toe and his thumb? Just put it where the blood is, which is this. It already said that. The haksiv, I guess, al dam ha'asham. Because it already says that it's put on the blood of the yasham.
So you ready to get?
I just turned to the top of Yad. I just want to point out, because we're going to get into this, that when it says al dam ha'asham, there's two verses. By the Asher it says, by the wealthy man's sacrifice it says on the blood of the Asham, that's where you put the oil. And by the poor man it says on the place of the blood of the Asham, al makaim dam Asham, whatever. But either way we know where it is. So Reb Zera responds, Chad lahachshir tzdadim v'chad lifsal tzidei tzdadim. One of them is coming to tell me, with the fact that it says the oil is put on the thumb, it's coming to tell me that you can put it on the sides of the thumb as well. I guess that means that it doesn't have to be on the top of the thumb. It could be also down here. And one is lifsal tzidei tzdadim, the side of the side, because if you notice the thumb, I think what it means is that the fingers are really protruding off the palm of the hand, except for the thumb, which the thumb is down here. It's also in the palm. You know, they would do that trick, like you want to see me stretch my thumb, they go like this, and you look at how big my thumb is. I stretch it, right? Because the thumb actually that has this bone that goes down all the way here. So tzidei tzdadim would mean the this part here you can't put the blood, even though the bone of the thumb continues down, but you can't put it here. Okay, so it's coming to tell me that you can put it on the thumb, but not on the part that's next to the palm. Now the Gemara asks, Al dam ha'asham, al makaim dam ha'asham l'mayasa. Why does it need to say both, on the place of the asham and on the blood of the asham, which it says by the different sacrifices, by the wealthy mitzayra or the poor mitzayra? Why do we need both of them? So it says hani tzrichi. That's necessary to say. We do need both. Because if it would tell me that you have to put it on the blood of the asham, havamina, I would have said, or I would have thought, isei in niskanach loy. If the blood is still on the thumb, then you put the oil on the blood, because the sacrifice, the blood of the sacrifice had to go on his thumb. Then he had brought a jug of oil. The jug of oil was also sprinkled, and the kohen poured it into his left hand, and he put onto his thumb as well. He put on the place of the blood. So I could have thought, because it says on the blood of the Hashem, I could have thought that if the blood is there, you put it on the blood. If the blood isn't there, sorry, there's no blood there, you don't put it on. So Kasar Rahman al Makaim. So the Torah says Put it on the place of the asham, of the blood of the asham, even if it's not there. Because Rahman al Makayim, let's say it would have just said on the place. Hava mina dafka niskana. I would have thought only if it's wiped off. It's the place where the blood went. But let's say Abul Isay, but if it would be there, maybe the blood is an interference between the oil and the finger. It has to go directly on the finger. So Kamash Malan, Al Dama Asham, you take out the Al Dama Asham. Kamash Malan comes to teach me that whether it's there or whether it's not there, you put the oil on the thumb. Amar Rabba. Rabbi says, once we've already taught, once it's already says in the pasuk that the oil is put on the blood of the asham and it's put on the place of the asham. Uksiva yemanis bidam valbain yadei yemanis valbain raglei yemanis. To add in a word here. Lemehadar uksivi b'shemen demitzer asher demitzer the asher ani lamali. Once it already says that where the oil is put, it's on the place of the asham, it's on the blood of the asham. And it says that it has to be on the right hand, by the blood. So why does it need to say again on the right hand and on the right thumb of the mitzvah, of the, by the wealthy one, by the poor one? Why does it have to say it? You already know it's the right hand. Rabbi's question is, before the question was, why does it need to say the location? Over here the question is, why does it have to say the right hand again? Before there was an emphasis on the right as well. I know you're done. Okay, before the emphasis was that it was on the thumb. The question is, why does it have to say it's on the thumb? The blood goes on the thumb. Once you say you put it where the blood goes, then I know where I put the oil. You put it on the, it doesn't have to say the thumb again. Over here, the question is, why does it have to say it's the right hand? We already know that it's the right hand and the right foot and whatever. So Elamar Rava, rather Rava says, now what Rava's really doing here is he's rejecting the statement of Reb Zera before. Reb Zera before, yesterday at the end we said that it says 4 times in the pasuk that it needs to be the left hand, that the kohen puts it into his left hand. That teaches me that everywhere else where it doesn't say left, it automatically means the right. Rava says that I don't learn from there. Rather, I need these words of the Mitzvah. I need it to teach me something else. Ela Marava, yad yad l'kmitza, regel regel l'chalitza, oizen oizen l'ritzia. It says by the Mitzvah, it says that the kohen puts it into his hand. He puts it on the thumb of his right hand. And it says by kmitza, it says by yimalek kappa. It doesn't actually say the word yad. It says he fills his palm. But I know that just like by the mitzvah, it's the right hand. Also, when he does kmitza, it needs to be the right hand. Kmitza needs to be done. Now, it's not like Reb Zera. That Reb Zera said yesterday that how do I know it's the right hand for kmitza? Because it says that he does the left hand, the kohen puts it into his left hand. Because it says the left 4 times, that tells me that everywhere else it must be the right. Rava says that no, how do I know it's the right? Because it says yad, that he puts it on the kohen. See, the kohen uses his left hand. He pours it into his left hand, and then with his right hand he can apply it or sprinkle it. Because he pours the oil into his left hand. With to his right hand, he can sprinkle and apply. But where does he apply it to? So on the Mitzvah, it goes on his right hand. It goes on the Mitzvah's right hand. So Rabbi is saying that I learned from the right hand of the Mitzvah that Kamitza is also performed with the right hand. I learned from the right foot of the Mitzvah.
Amen.
I learned from the right foot of Mitzvah that Chalitza is done with the right foot. Chalitza is when a woman, her husband passed away without children, and the husband's brother doesn't want to marry her, so he removes the shoe but on which foot is it? So it says it's on the right foot. She takes off his shoe. So, and that, where do we know? How do we know it's the right shoe? Off the right foot. I don't know if Jews those days had a difference between right and left. But how do we know it was the shoe off the right foot? So we know that because it says regel by the Mitzvah, that it's put on the big toe of his right foot, and it says regel by Chalitza. Tells me that both of them are the right. And I also learn that just like it's put on the inner part of the ear, the oil of the Mitzvah, the oil is placed on his ear. Which part? Which ear? The right ear. That teaches me that when an Eved wants to stay longer than the 6 years, so and they pierced his ear. Which ear? It means the right. It's the right ear. That we learned from this. Smolis, the left. The ani lamayasa. Rashi doesn't have the ani. Rashi just says the left. The fact that it says the left, when it says the left, it's referring to the kohen's hand that he pours the oil into. The kohen pours it into his left hand. So Reb Zera had a whole limud before that. What does the left teach me? The left teaches me that everywhere else it's the right. It said 4 times the left. Each one was for itself. One was to teach me that I don't say that I can't learn from it. One was to say that I do learn from it. And finally, the 4th one tells me that only where it says left is it the left. Otherwise, if it doesn't describe it, then it's referring to the right. That's what Reb Zera said. But according to Rava, the Rava learns the fact that it says the right hand, the thumb of the right hand, the thumb of the right foot. He learns from the fact that it says the right, Gzeir Shava. So for him, what do we need the left of the Kohen? What is it? Why does it have to say that? Amar Rav Shisha Breder Ravidi. Shisha Breder Ravidi says, Lifsal Yamin the Kohen b'Mitzayra. It's coming to tell me that if the Kohen pours it into his right hand, and then he would use his left hand to apply it or to sprinkle it, so then that would be invalid. Now, why do I need a pasuk to tell me that? Shalei Taimar. I should not say. In other words, because I could have said, Ma b'makom shlei nisrab s'smal nisrab s'yamin. Most places in the Torah, you're not allowed to use your left hand. You do the left hand, it's invalid. Finally, we have one place in the Torah we can use the left hand. If I can use the left hand, shouldn't it be obvious that I could use the right hand? Usually I can't use the left hand. And over here I can. So for sure I should be able to use the right. The right there's always you can use. That being the case, I need a special pasuk to tell me that that's not so. That if the kohen pours the oil into his right hand, it's not valid. That's why it has to say clearly he puts it into his left hand. He puts it into the palm of his left hand.
You explained before that the whole purpose of putting it in the left hand is not
Just to apply it.
It's because right.
Because you can't apply it like that.
Right, exactly. That's the whole point.
Right.
So,
but let's say he could. I don't know. I hear what you're saying. Okay, now the Gemara says, but 1 second. V'idach. The other times that it says the left hand by the Kayan, or Yad v'regel yimanis de'ani l'mayasa. We only learned with what it says. The section over there. Where is it? Chapter 14. Chapter 14. It repeats the purification process for the rich man, and then it repeats it for the poor man. Then it says it for the poor man. So we were explaining why it says the right hand, the thumb of the right hand, the big toe of the right, and the ear of the right ear. We explained all of that, but we only explained for one of them. We only explained for the usher. That's the first one. Now we're asking, why does it have to say the left? Again, the Kayan's left, and then the Mitzvah's right, and right. Why does it have to say all of that for the poor person? So, v'idach smalas yad v'regel yimanis da'ani l'mayasa. What's that coming to teach me? So now the Gemara gives me a surprising answer. It's very common that the Gemara says this, but it usually doesn't say it in Rava's opinion. It says that for that I have look at the Tana Debei Rabbi Shmuel. That's because Rabbi Shmuel says the house of Rabbi Shmuel has a teaching. Kol parsha shenemra v'nishnis lei nishnas ela b'shvil davar sheneschadish ba. Anytime a section of the Torah is repeated, it's only repeated for one point, and all the other details there are extra. Are allowed to be extra, and they don't have to teach me anything. The reason why this is surprising is because this was a major machlekes between Rabbi Shmuel and Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Akiva would darshan every letter and everything. Rabbi Akiva would never say that the Torah is going to repeat a passage, and the whole passage is why is this passage repeated? It's coming to tell me that an ani, that a poor person, that's a Mitzvah, brings a meal offering instead of according to Rabbi Shmuel. Well, it's coming to tell me just this one point, that he's coming that a poor person, instead of bringing the extra sacrifice as an animal, he brings it as a flower. But and we asked, well, according to Rava, that he learns the right hand, this and that from the rich man. Why does he have to repeat it by the poor man? He says, it's not. Don't look at that. It's repeating the whole section because it wants to tell me that his sacrifice is different. So of course it's going to have those details in there, but it's not necessary. That's a Rabbi Shmuel statement, and it's quoting it as this is the explanation for Rava, which is surprising, but all right. If we would learn like Rabbi Shmuel, we would have a lot of things would be different. All of the halachas and things. Rabbi Shmuel had a very different opinion. And okay, but this Gemara is quoted often, but usually it's quoted to explain an opinion of Rabbi Shmuel. So I don't know if it's quoted to explain an Amayra. Okay, whatever. Amar Rabba Bar Bar Chana Am Reb Shimon ben Lakish. Rabba Bar Bar Chana says in the name of Reb Shimon ben Lakish, Kol makim shenemra etzba ukahuna eina ela yimin. Anytime the Torah says the words etzba, finger, he uses his finger, or it says that the Kohen does something, it's always referring to the right hand. Kasal kadaitach, we think etzba ukahuna be'inan, that you need both etzba and kahuna. That means the right hand. Kediksiv, as it says, the Kohen takes from the blood of the chatas with his finger. In that verse, I have Kohen and I have etzba. Where does he put it? He puts it on he takes the blood and he puts it on the corners of the mizbeach. And v'gamar mitzayra, and I would learn from mitzayra the ksiv v'taval hakenes espaya yamanis, that the Kohen dips his right hand his right finger into the oil, and so therefore I know that it always needs to be the right when it says the words etzba and Kohen. The only problem is Hare Kmitza, when it comes to Kmitza, which is dipping the 3 fingers into the flour, getting a scoop of flour, like Siv Be'ela Kahuna. Over there it does not say the fingers. Over there it just says V'kamatz HaKayin, Utanan, and it was also taught in the Mishnah, our Mishnah. Kamatz B'smal is Pasal. Why is it Pasal? It doesn't say Betzbai. It doesn't use the word finger. Amarava, so Rava says, Oy Etzba Oy Kahuna. It's not that you need both words, Etzba and Kahuna. The way you have to read these verses is that if it says Etzba or Kahuna, finger or Kayin, then it needs to be with the right hand. Amalei Abaya says to Rava, Hare Halacha Sevarim Lekevesh Tiksiv Behukuna. If you're going to tell me that either or, one of them is enough, it needs to be with the right. So what about walking the organs up to the altar, up to the ramp, the inner organs of the animal that need to be burned? It says that the kayin, doesn't say his finger, it says the kayin brings them close to the altar. Va'amar mar, and the master taught, which means there's a teaching in the Zuhay Lachasivarim Lekevesh, that this is referring to bringing the limbs, the organs, to the ramp. Utinan, and it was taught in the Mishnah. How were they carried up? Haregel shel yamin bismal. The one that carried the head also carried the front leg of the animal. And he carried the head in his right hand, and he carried the right leg of the animal in his left hand. Now, our problem is that how's he carrying it in his left hand? If it says that the kayin brings it close, the word kayin teaches me that it needs to be with his right hand. How does he carry this in his left hand? And it has the skin towards the outside, in other words, as opposed to the shchita side. The place of that was cut off, that should be facing inward, and the skin would be outwards. That one doesn't see would be not pleasant to look at. Okay, but whatever the case is, he's carrying it in his right hand, and it doesn't say etzba. So the Gemara says, Ki amrinan, when do we say oy etzba oy kahuna? That it doesn't matter which one, as long as it says one of them, either the finger, it says the kain, it needs to be the right hand. B'davar ha'makiv kapara. It's only talking about something that if it's not done, the sacrifice isn't valid. However, here, by walking the limbs up to the altar, let's say the shechita was done very close to the altar, you didn't have to walk it. So then the sacrifice would still be good. So this is a type of service that's not really necessary, because it could have been avoided. So if any type of service that could have been avoided, then it doesn't need to be with the right hand. So in other words, we've just put another limitation on this. When it says either kayin or etzba, it needs to be with the right hand. That's only for things that are ma'akiv the kapara. The Gemara says, oh yeah, havari kabbalah. What about receiving the blood? Davar ma'akiv kaparahu. That definitely affects the validity of the sacrifice. Because of bakahuna, it says a kayin. When it says that the kayanim bring close, the sons of Aaron, the kayanim bring close the blood, this is referring to receiving the blood. Utanan, kibul b'smal pasal. It says if you receive the blood in your left hand, it's not valid. So far, so good. Reb Shimon machshir. But Reb Shimon says it is valid.
With your smile.
Even with the left hand. Right. Our question now is, how does Reb Shimon allow that it should be valid with the left hand if it's something that affects the validity of the sacrifice, and it says the kayin? How's the word kayin there? That means it needs to be with the right hand. The Gemara says, Reb Shimon Kamrit, Reb Shimon Tarti Bai. Rabbi's explanation before, that it needs to say either kayin or etzba, was only according to the rabbis. According to Reb Shimon, it needs to say both. And by the sprinkling of the blood, it only says kayin. So that's why Reb Shimon allows it to be with the left hand. It doesn't say kayan with his finger.
He doesn't hear the or o. He doesn't hold by
Right.
the o.
He needs both.
Right. Mutually inclusive.
The Gemara asks, "Mi by Reb Shimon Tarti? Does Reb Shimon really require that it says kayan and etzba?" But it was taught in a brisa. Reb Shimon Aimer kol makom shenemar yad eina ela yamin. Etzba eina ela yamin. Does anywhere where it says yad, it means the right hand. Anywhere where it says finger, it means the right hand. It doesn't say that it needs to say kayan. Anywhere where it says finger, it means the right finger. The Gemara says etzba loy by kahuna. If it says etzba, it doesn't need to say kahuna. Kahuna by etzba. But if it says kayan, that's not enough. It needs to say etzba. So where does it say by Kabbalah? By receiving the blood, it says kayan. It doesn't say etzba. So therefore, he allows it to be with the left hand. So kayan lamali. So if it needs to say etzba, so why does it need to say kayan? Kayan does nothing. You follow?
Yeah.
So the Gemara says bikihunai. It means to tell me that he needs to be wearing the clothing that a kayan is supposed to wear. He has to be dressed as a kayan.
No undercover stuff.
Isn't it? It's important, the dress. Gemara says, "Varizrikat like sivvei el kahuna," but sprinkling the blood, it only says kayan. And according to Reb Shimon, kayan is not enough, right? It needs to say etzba, even though it's something that invalidates the sacrifice if it's not done. But it needs to say etzba. Kayan is not enough, according to Reb Shimon. It needs to say etzba as well. So by the zrika, it doesn't. It only says kayan. Utanan zarak bismal pasal v'leipalig Reb Shimon. It doesn't say that the zrika is done with the finger. It says that the kayan sprinkles the blood. Reb Shimon doesn't argue. According to Reb Shimon, it should be acceptable to be with the left hand. It only says kayan. It doesn't say etzba. According to Reb Shimon, it needs to say etzba. The kayan only told me that he needs to wear clothing. The kayan's clothing. So Amar Abaya says palig bebraisa. Reb Shimon actually argues. It's not in the Mishnah, but he argues in a brisa. The Tanya was taught in a brisa. Kibel b'smal pasal Reb Shimon machsher. If the blood is received in the left hand, it's invalid. Reb Shimon says it's kosher. So far, no proof. Zarak b'smal pasal. If he sprinkles the blood with his left hand, it's invalid. Reb Shimon machsher. Reb Shimon says that it's allowed. Okay. So Abaya resolved that by pulling in a brisa that says that Reb Shimon argues there, and now we have an understanding of what Reb Shimon is doing. That really, etzba would have been enough, but it doesn't say etzba by these things. It only says kayan, and so therefore it's acceptable to be with the left hand.
Plenty of the parts of the Veda don't require the etzba, so why do we expect the pasuk to say etzba?
Right. And that's why, according to Reb Shimon, all of those avodas that don't require the etzba, or that don't say etzba, could be with the left hand. That's the.
How would the chum learn it?
The Chachamim say that kayan is enough.
Right.
It says kayan. Once it says kayan, even if it's not the etzba, once it says kayan, automatically it means everything is the right hand.
Right. Chum say right. Just the one. Just
Right.
kahanim. Just kayan without zrika or anything. Just always right.
Take an emotional video.
And so the distinction is that he holds that it could be there are certain situations where it could be left. Well, there. Yeah. Okay.
I charge you.
Belahada Rava. Rather that Rava says yad yad mitza lamali mikuhuna nafka. Now we go back to a problem. We just said that according to the rabbis, the way Rava explains it, you only need to say kayan, and automatically it means the right hand. So why did Rava say before that we learn that from the Mitzayra that it says yad, and it says it needs to be the right hand? And I learned by Kmitza it says kapai, which means the hand. That would mean that we're going to learn one from the other, from the hand of the Mitzayra to the hand, to the palm of the kayan, that it also needs to be the right hand. Why does it have to do that? I don't need yad sort of like the Gzeir Shava. I don't need that. I know already that it needs to be the right hand because it says Kayan. Mikahuna Nafka. I know it because it says Kayan. So the Gemara explains. Chad lekaimetz, v'chad lekiddush kaimetz. There's two activities. There's two things that need to be performed here. One is the kmitza, and that I don't know which one is which. I don't know if the Gemara doesn't clarify which one it wants to use for which. It just says that there's two things. It doesn't say which one would be which. I'm sure it would be understood somehow. But there's two activities here. One of them is going to be learned from Yad, from the Mitzayra, and one of them is going to be learned because it says Kayan, that it needs to be the right hand. What are the two activities? One is the Kmitza itself, that the Kayan needs to stick his hand, his three fingers into the flour and oil, and he has to scoop it out. The other thing is Chad L'Kiddush Kaimetz, is that he has to take the Kaimetz, the scoop of flour, and put it into a vessel. And that vessel is brought to the altar, and it's burnt on the altar, the contents of the vessel. But it needs to be sanctified in a vessel. So because I have two activities, one of them I'm going to learn from the word kayin, and the other one I'll learn from yad, like Rabbi said before. Yad. The Gemara now asks, Reb Shimon lay by kiddush kaimetz. According to Reb Shimon says that you don't need to put the kaimetz into a vessel. You can just take it straight up. And ulamanda amar nami the boy kiddush kaimetz Reb Shimon. Or according to the one that holds that you do need the kiddush kaimetz, according to Reb Shimon. There's a machlekes between Reb Nachman bar Yitzchak and Reb Yana. Reb Yani and Reb Nachman bar Yitzchak. Whatever the case is, according to Reb Shimon, I have a problem because Bismal Achshuri Machsher. Reb Shimon holds that even if I hold that I do need to do Kiddush Kaimetz, I do need to take the Kaimetz and put it into a vessel, but nevertheless, that is allowed to be done with the left hand. So why do I need Yad? Yad Rav Alamali. Why do I need Yad? I know that Reb Shimon doesn't learn from Kayan. Therefore, the Kmitza itself could be done with the left hand. But I still have Yad. I still have a Gzeir Shava. What does Reb Shimon do with the Gzeir Shava that says that I learned from the